holding you down and keeping you on point. Breakdown FM, the only station in the nation that's down by law.
On my brain, went downtown, jumped the train, 12 o'clock in New York, no cab, had to walk, downtown, Latin quarters, got inside, drunk some water, stepped on stage, started to talk, say yo, what up New York, downtown, Latin quarters, downtown, Latin quarters, downtown, Latin quarters, downtown, Latin quarters, Latin quarters, Latin.
Davey D hanging out with you this afternoon as we start off with Hip Hop History Month, and one of the undertold stories that we want to focus on involves one of the landmark nightclubs from New York City, and not just New York City, but one of the landmark nightclubs for hip hop in general. We're talking about the Latin Quarters, and here's one of the people that was behind the scenes that ran it, booked the acts, and held it down for years. We're talking about Paradise, the architect from the legendary group X-Clan. How you doing, fam?
Yo, what up, Davey? Everything good?
Talk about the Latin Quarters, man. What was the significance of the Latin Quarters?
The Latin Quarters was the incubator of the golden era of hip-hop. You know, it was a place where everybody came to congregate, to make friends, to make connections, and if you was hot on stage on Friday, you was signed on Monday.
People say that the Latin Quarters is like hip-hop's version of the Apollo.
I think it was a little more important to hip-hop than the Apollo, because you had all of the players right there every single night, from the guys that owned the labels to the people who wrote for hip-hop publications, and every single emerging artist that was hungry was right there too.
Now, where was the Latin Quarters and how long did it run during its heyday?
The Latin Quarters was on 48th, right there in the middle of Times Square, right between 7th Avenue and Broadway.
And how long did it go for?
Basically, the Latin Quarter was hot from about 84, 85 to 88.
And what did you do there specifically?
I booked the shows and I hosted.
Okay, so you was the host. This was before there was X-Clan.
Oh yeah, this was before X-Clan. Matter of fact, I met Sugar Shaft at Latin Quarters, and I met Professor X at Latin Quarters.
So talk about the early days. You know, you mentioned that a lot of the players were there. Who was the main DJs? Who were the main people that did shows there, et cetera, et cetera?
Right. See, when I first got to the Latin Quarter, I was a guest of the Awesome 2, who was promoting Tuesday nights. They were doing Celebrity Tuesdays. Special K and Teddy Ted was holding it down. And Friday and Saturday night, a guy named Joey and Jacob was renting the club off of my man Mike Goldberg. And I asked him how much he was leasing it to them for. And when he told me how much, I said, man, we can make that a night.
How much was it for?
It was probably about like 30 G's a month. Something like 30,000 a night. You know,
30,000 a night.
30,000 a night is what we was able to clear easy. Yeah, we were charging like $30 a head in like 1985.
People were paying it to get in.
Man, it get late. We charged $50 to get in. It was sick because it was like right in the middle of Times Square. We had people coming from England, Japan, and at the time it was 98.7 KISS and WBLS. And those stations had so much power that if you put an ad on KISS, it went to Connecticut, it went to New Jersey, it went to Philly. So you had people from Connecticut, Philly, Jersey, and New York. You was like reaching people from 4 states.
Now talk about the DJs. You know, you said you started off with the Awesome 2, Teddy Ted, Special K. But there were a lot of other legendary DJs. You know, name off some of the particular ones that really, you know, took the Latin Quarters to that next level.
Most definitely, it was Red Alert and Chuck Chillout. You know, Red was Friday night, Chuck Chillout was Saturday night, and they were both the hottest DJs on 98.7 KISS. So it was on and cracking.
Now, you know, back in the days, a lot of people don't remember, there was an intense rivalry between Red and Chuck Chillout. Did that rivalry spill over to the Latin Quarters?
Not at all. You know what I'm saying? They had their own nights, you know what I'm saying? And at the time, it didn't really seem to be a rivalry at that time. They were pretty cool with each other.
Did they have different crowds, or was it the same crowd each night?
Well, it really wasn't their crowd. It was hip-hop crowd. And it was the most diverse hip-hop crowd ever. It was, you know, white kids, black kids, young people, old people. It was a crazy mix.
But one thing I remember about the LQ, man, it was definitely diverse, but you also had a lot of cats where, you know, you better tuck in your chain unless you was really, as we said back in the day, hard rocks. So, you know, talk about some of those type of moments and those type of players that used to frequent the Latin Quarters and used to snatch chains, because it led to a particular landmark undertold story, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you had when you have people coming from every borough and different states and different countries, you're going to attract a certain element to it also, because everybody was trying to floss and stuff like that. So the original 50 Cent and the Brooklyn Zoo, the real Brooklyn Zoo, we called them the Brooklyn Zoo because everybody was named after an animal. Ox, dog, pig, hawk. You know what I'm saying?
So when the late ODB was talking about, that's what he was referring to.
It's possible, but these were cats that, like, you know, you had Supreme Magnetic in them. Them cats was hanging at the Latin Quarter with everything Rakim.
So Supreme that we know from Murder. Okay.
That was rolling. You look at the back of the early Eric B. and Rakim albums, and you'll see all of the usual suspects.
Talk about this. There was something that broke off with, you know, the original 50 Cent at Latin Quarters.
Yeah, there was we had a fight in the club that lasted like 2 hours. It was the Brooklyn Zoo against the Hollis crew. One of 50 Cent boys tried to snatch Jam Master Jay's chain, and it was on and cracking, man. Cats had, like, I looked at one point, dude had a sword. I'm like, where did he get a sword from? I'm serious. They was like,
one of 50 Cent's people?
Nah, one of my security guards, man. As a matter of fact, it was crazy ass RoboCop. He was the same brother that was driving the car when Scholar Rock got killed.
Okay. And RoboCop was security as well, right?
RoboCop, his name is Daryl. He's like 6'9", like a 5th-degree black belt with a licensed gun. He was just a dangerous dude.
So he pulled out a sword in the middle of this legendary fight between 50 Cent, the Brooklyn Zoo, Hollis crew.
He had like a katana, like, you know, he was one of them karate dudes. I look and he got like a samurai sword, swinging it in the club. I had to go, like, it took me like about 5 minutes to get his attention because I wasn't walking up on him. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, Cass was just going at it. It didn't end until there was a gunshot. And that cleared the club, but they was like, man, we couldn't get order for like 2 hours.
So what was the result of that? I mean, was there forever tension between 50 Cent and that whole crew and the Hollis people, and did Jam Master Jay get his chain back?
He never got his chain snatched. See, one thing people didn't know is, like, most people had them hollow chains, and you could just like snatch it and it'll pop. Jam Master Jay's chain didn't have no hook on it, no clasp. It was just solid gold, and you had to put it on over your head. There wasn't no little clasp on it. So the guys like snatched it, but it didn't break. So Jay snatched it back and then like just hit him, and it was on and cracking after that.
So the real 50 Cent got down like that, huh?
Oh, he was sick, man. He used to come to the club, bulletproof vest on, 2 guns. I was at the, like, go put him in the car, man. You know you ain't getting in here like that. Always had 2 pockets full of money. Crazy.
Awesome and rare, the real, the right, and dynamite is in the atmosphere. As there's a time and place for everything that's under the sun. This is the time and the place that we have some fun. Now take a sec to check the pedigree of the band that's spelled S-T-E-T. The rhyme-a-rator, D-Light, the R-O-D, and all the G's, my brother, DBC, Wild Fruit Quan, and my DJ Paul. We're putting competition back up against the back of the wall. Me and the band that I just mentioned present to you our new invention.
We regulate our sets of fluxure. So deaf, listen to the structure.
started with a hip-hop band of America, London, and even Japan. And you surely will admit by being a fan, nobody else does it like we can. To battle us is truly a gamble. Our excellence is proven by example. The ladies smile while the body's on shampoo. Back off, but this you can't handle. The rhythm, homeboy, is definitely ringing. The beats and rhymes are the chords that are tingling. So grab your girl, let's start the jam. For at the helm is a band cause in demand.
You know, one of the things, you know, because Schoolie D talked about this in his songs as well, you know, that you had better tuck in your chain when you came to the LQ. And around New York, it was a reflection of what was going on in New York at hip-hop at that time. A lot of people forget, you know, they talk about the good old days, and they look at the P. Diddy's and all that, and they act like what they're doing with the flossing was something new, but the floss was in full effect back in those early 80s. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that and the type of concrete steps that you and a whole bunch of other well-known artists took to really turn the whole thing around.
Yeah, well, all you have to do is just look at Slick Rick to see that's how it was. Like, look at Eric B. and Rakim. That's how it was. You know, Big Daddy Kane, LL, everybody that came from that era was like, that was like the birth of the bling. You know, the gold teeth, the shirt kings, you know, sweatshirts and stuff. You know, the Louis Vuittons.
Let me ask you, was that considered hip hop then? Because nowadays, if people bling, if I see a Lil Wayne and you know, and him doing his song, Stunting Like My Daddy, we get upset. I know I don't really like all the bling like that, but there's some that are hip hop purists that would say, well, that's not hip hop at all, and they'll go on and on about how it was back in the days and all that.
Those people don't know hip hop. You know what I'm saying? That was it was a part of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? You had to look good. You had to dress the part. We was trying to be stars. You wanted to separate yourself from everybody else. Now the cats are selling crack. Now crack dealers look just like rap artists. So, but back in them days, you know, it was like, you know, the image of a person that first had the diamonds and the jewelry was a pimp. But hip hop took the image from that and turned it into hip hop. And now it's flipped back, you know, now it's
hip hop. So hip hop did it from the pimp.
Of course, man. Come on, look at Don Juan and them cats. You know, the clean clothes, that look that you was trying to attract the ladies with and everything. That definitely came from the pimp culture.
So now let's go back to this. Here we are, Latin Quarters, mid-'80s. All throughout New York in particular, people are getting their gold chain snatched. And also of concern with the fact where the gold was coming from. There was a lot of tension in New York between blacks and Koreans who were mostly selling these chains. And it was also concerned that these chains were being harvested from apartheid-ridden South Africa. And
Sierra Leone. And Sierra Leone, too. The diamonds were coming from Sierra Leone.
Mostly the gold, though.
And the gold was coming, it was being mined in South Africa. And a lot of it was being mined with child slavery. You know what I'm saying? So, also, cats was getting slashed in their face with razor blades and getting their chains snatched. So, we had a landmark meeting at the Latin Quarters that Africa Bambaataa called. And the Aline twins, Tunde Ron Tahaka was there, Professor X, myself, Dr. York was there, Mele-Mel, Tila Rock, you know, a bunch of cats like that.
Let's see, the Jungle Brothers. Let's go down the list of all the people that showed up at this meeting, because this is real important.
Yeah, there's a few of the Jungle Brothers. You know, I actually got the sign-in list for that night, too. I'll show it to you one of these days. But we came together and started having meetings discussing how we needed to rid our culture of the diamonds and gold, because we were getting it on both ends. We were getting maimed and killed in South Africa mining it, and then you had us getting slashed and chain snatched and shot in New York. So we decided that we would try to replace the diamonds and the gold with African medallions and stuff like Bam was wearing. So we bought a lot of them. We start giving them to artists, and we really start stepping the cats and telling them, yo, you got to take that shit off. Too many of our people was getting hurt behind this.
So when we go back to what was the golden era of hip-hop, which people consider from 87 to 93, and we look at the old Public Enemy videos, the old X-Clan videos, which you were part of, the old, KRS-One and everything. When you look at all those artists, everybody had these cloth medallions, these leather medallions with the, with Africa in it. And then later on, as other ethnic groups, started to, really get their own voice, you might see one with a Cuban flag or a Puerto Rican flag or, Italian flag or whatever country. So this was really born out of the Latin Quarters, and this was a very deliberate act from you guys.
Well, it definitely was a deliberate act. I don't know if we really knew at the time the impact we would be able to have worldwide, but we knew that we could definitely affect the culture right there in New York. And at the time, New York was hip-hop. It wasn't very much noise coming from anywhere else. But by affecting the culture just right there in New York, we were able to affect the culture across the whole country and eventually across the world.
We've been talking with Paradise the Architect, of course, well known from the group X Clan, but also the purveyor of the world famous Latin Quarters. In Hip Hop History Month, we're going back into time and just revisiting those old days. People talk about doing movies and the whole nine.
And also, just to give you a sense of how important the Latin Quarter was, these are some of the groups who, many of them got their first show at the Latin Quarters, but most of them got popular there. Queen Latifah, MC Light, Milk and Giz, Heavy D and the Boys, EPMD, Nice and Smooth, Third Base, the X Clan, Public Enemy, the Jungle Brothers, De La Soul, A Tribe Called Quest. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the whole Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play. We even gave Hammer his first New York show. He got booed off the stage.
Talk about that. He wasn't the only one to get booed. Well, talk about Hammer's first show.
Hammer was cool, man. It was during the New Music Seminar, and he was there for the New Music Seminar. So he came down and he was like, "Yo, man, I'm from Oakland, man. Let me get down. So I just put him on. I said, "Okay, hold on. Where's your music?" He gave me his music, and he was dancing his ass off. It was kind of crazy. But people didn't really appreciate him at that time. It was Eric B. and Rakim, Big Daddy Kane happening in New York, so they didn't really appreciate Hammer.
What song did he do? Go Hammer Go? I know.
Yes. Go Hammer, go Hammer, go. Go Hammer, go Hammer, go. And the music was kind of slow, and he was dancing real fast, so it was kind of throwing people off. They didn't really understand what was going on. Plus, his dancing was kind of different from what they was doing in New York.
Talk about that, because you ran into Hammer a few years after that, because, he got booed there and what have you. But it said it made him come back with a vengeance or something?
Yeah, I saw Hammer at the Jacob Javits Convention Center at one of the car shows. And when I told him who I was, he was like, "Yo, I'm not." Wait a
second. You said something before he got off the stage. After he got off the stage, what did you say?
I told the crowd, I said, "Hey, man, I don't make these records, man. I just put them on stage." You know what I'm saying? And Hammer remembered that. He said, "Yeah, I'll never forget what you said. You said that you don't make the music, you just put cats on stage." He was like, from that point on, I knew that I was determined that I was going to win over New York. I was going to come back with a vengeance, and I was going to be the man. I was going to shine in New York.
And he eventually did. That fueled him.
As a matter of fact, Hammer was one of Brother J from X Clan's favorite artists. I think, who knows? I'm going to have to ask Brother J. Maybe part of the reason that he was coming at Third Base so hard was because they was messing with his man Hammer.
What we're going to do right here is go back. Way back into time.
Turn his mother out. It was time to address the issue of respect for the West Coast movement that was happening at the time, but was not being received in the home of hip-hop, which is New York. And it wasn't because of the artists, but it was the same problem that exists in in a lot of aspects today. Certain people who control playlists and the ears and conditioning of the people weren't allowing them to be exposed to what we was doing. So my shot was really at those who control that. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna have to really deal with this. So at the beginning of the video, it said, "Hammer, you ain't hitting in New York. So what you gonna do about that?" I said, "Man, I'm gonna have to turn this mother out."
Strong like a lion, no denying. I'm in effect, you suckers are trying to get with me. You can't hang, doing it like this. I'm in with the bass, going boom like thunder, and you wonder how in the world could the Hammer be underneath me? He's gonna beat me. Say yes to the master, and I will defeat.
Keeping in mind that I had friends in New York even back then, like Mele-Mel, who had inspired me. He took one look at what I was doing, and I was at the, it's on the tip of my tongue right there, the Latin Quarters, which is one of the hottest hip-hop clubs in New York.
I was a student, now I'm a teacher. I was a member, now I'm a preacher. I
flew out there by myself, solo, from the town, and got downtown and went to the Latin quarters and told Red Alert and La Bamba. These are some New York historians. And that night they had the ultramagnetic MCs and a whole bunch of other hot cats, you know, Cool Keep and all that on the show. So they had all them cats on the show, and I went up, I said, man, I want to perform. They said, it was you. I said, man, I'm MC Hammer from the town, part of the West Coast. Oh, man, well, really, man, you know, this ain't open to everybody. That's what they told me. This ain't open to everybody. I said, man, that's all good, dude, but here on my record, man, I want to go on right after these cats. Let me represent what I represent. And I talked them into letting me go on. And
Is that the Latin quarters?
This at the Latin quarters. And so I go on, and man, they gave me one of the worst introductions a man could have going on the stage. One dude said, and Red Alert, he was like,
Red Alert, that's my man. He introduced you bad?
man, and I love Red Alert. I love Red Alert, but it is what it is, right? So Red Alert say, man, I don't make them, y'all. I just play them, baby. I don't make them. I just play them. And he can talk so good, he should introduce himself. You know, I ain't never got none of that, right? So I hit the stage. I did this record called Stupid Deaf, y'all. See, you talking about going stupid and going dumb. See, I'm this way back then. But the cat, the whole thing was the cat introduced me. I came out on Stupid Deaf, y'all, did my thing, right? The next day at the hotel, man, I was coming down the Marriott where they held the New Music Seminar. And Mele-Mel was across the whole other side coming down the escalator. And he saw me from, I'm serious, all the way across the thing. I'm on the other escalator. And he yelled out, go Hammer, go Hammer, go Hammer, because that's what my background said. And he said, come here, man. And keep in mind, Mele-Mel at that time was a megastar in hip-hop. I mean, The Message, you know what I'm saying? They had records, Grandmaster Flash, Furious 5, the whole thing. And he said, let me tell you something, MC Hammer. I saw you last night, dude. If you get with the right people and they market you and promote you, you gonna blow up real good, real quick. I said, oh, man, thank you. And when I went back, man, I remember on that airplane all the way saying, man, Mele-Mel said, I'm gonna be big. Mele-Mel said, I'm gonna be big. You know, back when I said it was time to turn that mother out and turn New York out, I was coming from a perspective of I had been there. I had took the stage with, at that time, some of the hottest cats in New York, King Son, all them cats was on that night. And I did my thing for representing the West Coast, representing the town. Came back, that was 86. Came back, and 12 months later, that video was on MTV saying, I'm about to turn New York out. I'm going to turn this mother out. And they respected it because it wasn't taking a shot. It was just saying, let me in. I'm worthy of being in the game.
Let me ask you this. You know, Public Enemy did their first show, one of their first shows at the Latin Quarters. Talk about their first show.
Wow, their first show was kind of crazy. They was on their first album, Yo Bum Rush the Show. And so we did a free show to promote PE in Manhattan for the first time they were performing there. And they came out on stage with the S1Ws and Professor Griff, and they had those plastic Uzis that they used to have when they first came out. And Grandmaster Mele-Mel from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5, he saw the guns and was like, what the hell is going on? He just went off. He was like running all around the club like, man, they're on stage with guns and shit. We're supposed to be stopping the violence. That shit ain't hip-hop. That shit ain't hip-hop. And it was crazy because when I talked to Chuck about it later, he said it kind of fucked him up because Mele-Mel was one of his favorite rappers, you know. But the funny thing about it is that after that album was over and they came out with
Takes a Nation of Millions, but Rebel Without a Pause.
Even before, when they came out with Rebel Without a Pause, that was the #1 song in Latin Quarters because the dancers loved it. And when that song would come on, Mele-Mel would always go running to the stage and grab the mic, you know. And he used to do this thing, you know, the old school MCing where you do the crowd participation to get people to slide to the left, slide to the right. Whenever that song came on, he would just go running up there. So it was kind of funny.
just to see that he became a fan afterwards. But during that first PE show, they didn't get a whole lot of people there that night, huh?
No, well, people didn't really understand Public Enemy or what they was about, and they really wasn't really pushing the black thing out there a whole lot yet. You know, it's my 98 Oldsmobile and stuff, and people thought, you know, they didn't really understand the coming of Public Enemy. Even Mr. Magic, the first time he played their song, he said, "No more music by these suckers. I guarantee you there'll be no more music by these suckers." You know, so a lot of people misunderstood PE at first.
You know, one of the legendary battles that we hear about in the LQ, KRS-One, Mele-Mel. I always give mixed stories from both of them about that situation, but this was your spot. Talk about this. What was going on, and how did this whole thing unfold?
Okay, let me. It was like around New Music.
Before we do that, let's play the song that refers back to that battle. Still number one, KRS-One. We'll come back with Paradise the Architect and find out what went down with this particular battle.
Breakdown FM, fresh for the new millennium. You
suckers, down with us. D-Square, he's down with us. Keyboard Money Mike is down with us. ICU, you know he's down with us. D-Nice and Mick Boot are down with us. Miss Melody, she's down with us. Just Ice and DMX, they're down with us. My manager Mo, he's down with us. Castle D, boys, down with us. DJ Red Alert, he's down with us. RoboCop, boys, down with us. Making funky music is a must. I'm number one. People still taking rapping for a joke, a passing hope or a phase with the rope. Sometimes I choke and try to believe when I get challenged by a million MCs. I try to tell them we're all in this together. My album was raw because no one would ever think like I think and do what I do. I stole the show and then I leave without a clue. What do you think makes up a KRS? Concisive teaching or very clear speaking? Ridiculous bass, aggravating treble, rebel, renegade, must stay paid. Not by financial aid, but a rate of hits, causing me to take long trips. I'm the original teacher of this type of style, rocking off beat with a smile or a smirk or a chuckle. Yes, some are not up to BDP posse, so I love to step in the jam and slam. I'm not Superman because anybody can or should be able to rock off turntables, grab the mic, plug it in and begin. But here's where the problem starts, no heart. Because of that, a lot of groups fell apart. Rap is still an art, and no one's from the old school. Cause rap is still a brand new tool. I say no one's from the old school, cause rap on a whole isn't even 20 years old. 50 years down the line, you can start this. Cause we'll be the old school artists, and even in that time, I'll say a rhyme, a brand new style, ruthless and wild. Running around, spending money, having fun. Cause even then, I'm still number one. Blastmaster KRS-One, of course, comes to express with style the lost ways of rhyming, old and new, past and present. Knock, knock, who is it? A brand new style. Time to change. People talk about me when they see me on stage. Live in action, guaranteed raw. I hang with the rich and I work for the poor. Now tomorrow you can say you saw KRS-One stomping once more. I play by ear, I love to steer the Alfa Romero from here to there. I grab the beer, but not in the ride, cause I'm not stupid, I don't drink and drive. I'm not a beginner, amateur or local. My album is selling because of my vocals. You know what you need to learn? Old school artists don't always burn. You're just another rapper who's had his turn. Now it's my turn. And I am concerned about idiots posing as kings. What are we here to rule? I thought we supposed to sing. And if we ought to sing, then let us begin to teach. Many of you are educated. Open your mouth and speak. KRS-One is something like a total renegade. Except I don't steal, I rhyme to get paid. Airplanes flying, overseas people dying. Politicians lying, I'm trying not to escape, but hit the problem head on by bringing out the truth in a song. So BD BP, short for Boogie Down Productions. Made a little noise cause the crew was saying something. People have the nerve to take me for a gangster, an ignorant one. Something closer to a prankster, doing petty crimes, going straight to penitentiary. But in the scale of crime, that's really elementary. This beat is now compelling me to explain in silence why my last jam was so violent. It's simple, BDP will teach reality. And I'm beating around a bush straight up, just like the P is free. So now you know, a poet's job is never done. But I'm never overworked, cause I'm still number one. Kumo D, he's down with us. Eric B and Rakim, they're down with us. Steps Sonic, they're down with us. Dane the Dane, he's down with us. Sleeping Bag Records, they're down with us. My lawyer Jay, he's down with us. Jive RCA is down with us. Making funky music is a must. I'm number one.
Hey yo, this is Immortal Technique, Harlem, New York, representing Breakdown FM. Keep it locked here for the illest underground you gonna hear.
We're back here, still number one. KRS-One seemed like he had something to say, but every time I talk to him, he's kind of cagey about it from time to time. Over the years, sometimes he says that he went after Mel, other times he just says, you know, it's just a song. Mel never says anything about that song being KRS-One. So what's the real deal with that?
Well, what happened was, it was New Music Seminar time. And you know, it was like everybody was all eked up because they were having the battles and stuff. And this was like the changing of the guard. When hip-hop was going from Mele-Mel and Kool Moe Dee and them toward the Rakims, Big Daddy Kanes, and KRS-Ones and stuff. So the old school cast was trying to prove a point. And they had just finished battling. Mele-Mel had just took the belt from Mikey D after losing the battle for world supremacy at the New Music Seminar.
Let's go back in the time. Talk about that. Now, remember, explain to everybody what went on.
Well, it was, you know, you had the battle for world supremacy. You got a panel of judges, and Mikey D won, according to the judges. And Mele-Mel was like, nah, fuck that, he ain't win. And they had like a WrestleMania kind of superstar golden belt. And Mele-Mel snatched the belt and dared anybody to come take it from him.
I remember he was walking around with no shirt on in Times Square with two belts on. His belt that he won the year before.
And Mikey D. Right. So he came to Latin Quarter. He had the two belts. And he took his shirt off on the stage. He was flexing the Harlem Schwarzenegger. And he was doing push-ups. And he did a rhyme. And he said, I dare any MC in the house to step on this stage. I will crush you right now. None of y'all new cats, y'all got the deals, y'all got the money, all that gold, but y'all cannot rap. I will crush any one of y'all right now. And then all of a sudden you just heard the crowd go crazy. And you look to the side and KRS-One was standing there in a b-boy stance with his arms crossed over his chest. And the crowd was like, whoa, whoa.
And KRS is just as big as Mel at that time.
Nah, KRS-One.
He was skinny then, that's right, he was skinny then.
He was skinny as heck. He wasn't long from being homeless at that time, so he wasn't really eating that good back then. So I gave KRS-One a mic, and Mele-Mel was like, okay, KRS was like, I'll go first. So he bust his hot ass rap, right? And he said, yo, Red Alert, spin that joint. Red Alert put on the beat. KRS-One rocked. The crowd went crazy. KRS-One said, all right, y'all, who won the battle? Me or him? And the crowd went crazy. He was like, Mele-Mel was jumping around like a little kid, stomping on the stage like, wait a minute, I didn't even get to go yet. That's not right. That's not fair. He was like real mad, stomping around and shit. So I went back on stage. I was like, hold up, y'all, wait. Y'all got to at least get a man a chance to rap now. But KRS-One, he had just killed MC Shan with the bridges over, and you know what I'm saying? So he was hot at that time. It was hard to mess with Chris. Mele-Mel did one of the hottest rhymes I ever heard in my life. He went all metaphysical, talking about scientific things, and you know.
He did get the chance to go on the stage after.
Yo, Mele-Mel killed it. The rhyme was so hot, the crowd booed the shit out of him.
Really?
take Little Bank, just like he big willied them, just like KRS-One muscled them, just like LL did Cannabis. A lot of people think Cannabis rhymes were better, but you just could not fuck with the persona, the personality, the lyricism, the history.
Wait a second. So let's get this on record. KRS-One versus Mele-Mel. In your opinion, KRS-One asked the crowd who won before
Mele-Mel even rapped.
Okay, now, who do you think won after you allowed Mele to get on there?
Well, I mean, KRS-One won.
But who do you think won?
I mean, that's not how battles go. You know what I'm saying?
Who do you think won?
Personally, I love the rhyme that Mele-Mel did. The rhyme was crazy. But the atmosphere, the hip hop, the showmanship, the way that KRS did it, he crushed Mel with that. And you got to take all of that into account. It's just like, you know, a football game. You could kick somebody butt all day, but if they kick that field goal in overtime and beat you, it don't matter what you did in the first, second, and third, fourth quarter.
So KRS kicked that field goal.
KRS-One kicked the field goal in overtime and won it with the he used the crowd, he used his personality, he used the vibe of the times, and Mele-Mel had already alienated the crowd doing push-ups and shit and flexing, like, you know what I'm saying? Cass wasn't really with that.
So, but I think more importantly, man, the one thing I remember about that was really the changing of the guard. That was kind of like the beginning of the end. That was like the official changing of the guard. And how did the LQ change after that battle?
Oh man, the LQ changed after that battle. Even like, you know, people didn't even really want to see Kool Moe Dee and Mele-Mel and Busy B and them cats no more. You know, they loved it that they were in the crowd, but they wanted that new brand of hip hop with the dancing and the lyricism. You know, they wanted that Big Daddy Kane swagger. You know, they wanted their artists to look the part now. You know, so cats was clean cut, you know, dressed well and shining.
You know, another battle that seemed to, you know, and I don't know if it ever surfaced, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim. Both of those guys shined at the LQ. What was it like when Rakim performed? What was it like with Big Daddy Kane? And was there tension between those two? You know, in terms of, I mean, not like they had beef with each other, but definitely on some lyrical stuff.
There was definitely a personal thing between them.
Really?
But you couldn't tell. You know, Big Daddy Kane is a smooth, cool operator. He got a great poker face. He don't really talk that much. He do what he got to do on stage and in rhymes. And Rakim, a very humble god. You know what I mean? People gave Rakim and Big Daddy Kane equal respect lyrically. They respected him equally. But Rakim's stage show was a little boring. Big Daddy Kane, it was nothing like seeing him Scoob and Scrap. He actually got Scoob and Scrap, his dancers, from the Latin Quarters, from hanging out there. You know, that's where they came from. Even a dancer by the name of Stretch, who originally came from Union Square, but came over to the Latin Quarter when Union Square closed down. He wound up choreographing Michael Jackson's video, Remember the Time, and even our coat check girl blew up. Our coat check girl that answered the telephones was none other than Heather Hunter.
Really?
She worked at the Latin Quarter as the coat check girl and the phone girl.
We've been talking with Paradise, the architect, man, reliving the days of the LQ as we talk about Hip Hop History Month. This is an untold story about one of the greatest landmark clubs to ever, you know, really catapulted hip hop in a lot of ways and ushered in the golden era in many ways. Of course, Paradise, the man who booked the shows and, you know, was the host of the LQ, you know. What were some of the more memorable moments that you know, we talked about some of the battles, but talk about some of your personal most memorable moments when we talk about the Latin Quarter.
You know, just the different people that would come through, like Chris Rock would come through like once a month to try out his newest jokes on the crowd.
Was there comedy there?
No, we didn't really do comedy there, but we had this big crowd of young black people. And, you know, Chris Rock as a comedian saw it as a great opportunity to do dry runs for his comedy because he wasn't all blown up yet. You know, so he actually got a lot of fans and a lot of respect and, you know.
But Chris Rock didn't really blow up until maybe about 5 years ago. So he was doing comedy way back in the 80s then. Huh?
Yeah, and he was, you know, Eddie Murphy had him under his wing at that time. And, of course, don't forget, he was the infamous Pookie.
That's right. Okay.
Right around that, it wasn't long after that he got that gig as Pookie. You know.
Did Eddie Murphy come in?
Eddie Murphy never came in, but
what about Charlie Murphy? Murphy had to be.
Murphy was hanging all the time. People thought he was Eddie back then. He got a lot of pussy behind that. So Mike Tyson, before he was heavyweight champion.
You tell me this story about Mike Tyson when you walked in the crowd one day at the LP.
Man, Tyson was a booty bandit, man. He my dude and everything, but he would go through the club grabbing every ass he could. So I was like, yo, Mike, you gotta chill with it, man. You know what I'm saying? He was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Paradise. I'm sorry. But, you know, they kept him upstate then, you know, in a cage. Let him out like a pit bull. And, you know, they jerked Tyson all the way around. He was a cool dude, though. You know, also, like, some of my favorite moments was when, actually, there's a lot of variations on this story, but I was the first one to play the song, The South Bronx. Scott LaRock brought Miss Melody and KRS-One to the club, and he had an acetate, you know, with one of them thick dub plates. And I played the song about 4 or 5 times that night. And when Red Alert got there from 98.7 KISS, which he got off the air at 12 o'clock, so it's impossible he could have played the song all night. You know, when he came to the DJ booth, the first thing I did was give him the acetate, and I made sure it was the last song that played before he started his set. And I played it, and he was like, oh my God. And I was like, that's your copy right there. So, you know, Scott LaRock was one of my best friends. I miss him. And another story, you know, after Scott was killed, the real 50 Cent, me and Professor X went on the stage to do a moment of silence for Scott LaRock. And 50 Cent kept running his mouth while everybody else in the club was silent. You know, he was like, fuck that, da-da-da-da-da. It's just another nigga dead, whatever. And, you know, so Professor X took the mic from me and was like, yo, brother, you know, at least, you know, y'all done shook your ass to his music all summer. At least give him some respect. You know, dude kept talking and everything. So I took the mic. I said, you know what? See, you should respect situations like this because, you know, it could be you that we could be asking a moment of silence for. And I don't think he lasted another 3 weeks. He was dead himself.
Why don't you wise up, show all the people in the place that you are bright. Make this here one jam that you do not start no fight. Cause that is one thing that we all must see done. And if you start some shit, your ass had better run. Cause you're in the break.
Many people tell me this style is terrific. It is kinda different, but let's get specific. KRS-One specialize in music. I'll only use this type of style when I choose it. Party people in the place to be. KRS-One attacked. You got dropped off MCA cause the rhymes you wrote was whack. So you think that hip-hop had its start out in Queensbridge? If you pop that junk up in the Bronx, you might not live, cause you're in
South Bronx, the South Bronx, South Bronx, the South Bronx, South Bronx, the South Bronx, South Bronx, the South Bronx.
I came with Scott LaRock to express one thing. I am a teacher and others are kings. If that's a title they earn, well, it's well deserved. But without a crown, see, I still burn. You settle for a pebble, not a stone like a rebel. KRS-One is the holder of a boulder. Money folder. You want a fresh style? Let me show you. Now way back in the days when hip-hop began, with Coca LaRock, Kool Herc, and then bam, Beach Boys ran to the latest jam. But when it got shot up, they went home and said, damn, it's got to be a better way to hear our music every day. People's getting blown away, but coming outside anyway. They tried again outside and see the park. Power from a street light made the place dark. But yo, they didn't care, they turned it out. I know a few understand what I'm talking about. Remember Bronx River, rolling thick with cool DJ Red Alert and Chuck Chill out on the mix. When Africa Islam was rocking the jams, and on the other side of town was a kid named Flash. Patterson and Millbrook projects, Casanova all over, you couldn't stop it. The Nine Lives crew, the Cypress Boys, the real rock steady taking out these toys. As odd as it looked, as Wallace it seemed, I didn't hear a peep from a place called Queens. It was 76 to 1980, the dreads in Brooklyn was crazy. You couldn't bring out your set with no hip hop because the pistols would go. So why don't you wise up, show off the people in the place that you are whack? Instead of trying to take out LL, you need to take your homeboys off the crack. Cause if you don't, well then their nerves will become shot. and that would leave the job up to my own Scott LaRock, and he's from
South Bronx, the South Bronx, 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 South Bronx, the South Bronx.
Want it.
The South Bronx.
Want it. Want it.
So we're back here talking with Paradise. We had to take a break for a minute as we get ready to conclude. You know, a couple of things I wanted to ask you about this Latin Quarters. Who actually owned the Latin Quarters? Because, you know, from what I understand, that club was around for a much longer period than the hip-hop era. How did it go into being hip-hop?
As far as I knew, my man Mike Goldberg had the lease on the building, but the Latin Quarters was a historic landmark of a club way back when Bob Hope performed there. When the actual Times Square in Broadway used to be called the Great White Way.
You're talking about, so the Latin Quarters was home to Bob Hope before it was home to Mele-Mel and KRS-One and...
Exactly. It was like the Cotton Club, like, you know what I mean? That's where they had like black performers come down, but they were only on stage. You couldn't really come in the front door or nothing, you know?
Now, you know, we were looking at, you know, some of the pictures that you have in there. And you have like, you know, people can't see. Maybe we'll put some of these up on the site. But, you know, a lot of legendary people in there, you know. We're seeing pictures of D-Nice. We're seeing pictures, it looks like that's Busy B and all those guys. So it's really this mixture of the old school and new school and a camaraderie that we haven't seen parallel since.
Yeah, tell me about it. I think, you know, we need to get back to, you know, all people coming together to vibe off of music. But, you know, they done flip hip-hop into a tool for white supremacy. Now they got our children doing a death style, not a lifestyle that hip-hop used to be. Now you go in a club, you dancing to your own death.
But you know what? I wanted to ask you, there was an incident that took place with KRS-One when he performed The Bridge Is Over. Can you talk about what that was like in the middle of that, the Bridge Wars?
Well, it was kind of tough for a lot of people, you know, because Big Daddy Kane used to hang out at Latin Quarters all the time, and he was a member of the Juice Crew. And you had one time, Roxanne Shante was right there, her and Biz Markie, while KRS-One was doing it. So, you know, as he was doing the Shanty Marley Marl, you know, this and everything, he's pointing at Shante like, yeah, you down with the Juice Crew. You know, so it was kind of embarrassing for a lot of artists because everybody was there.
Who really ran the Latin Quarters in terms of artists? Who would you say had the biggest presence? Like if you look back in history, you got to say that was really their club.
Wow, that's a hard one because Ultramagnetic was like there all the time, and they're not really a big star of a group nationally, but Ultramagnetic held it down at the LQ. KRS-One held it down there. I think it kind of was disappointing when KRS-One came out at the end and said the name of this routine is called Live at Union Square. When I'm like,
you mean in the song, you mean?
Yeah, I'm like, how you do The Bridge Is Over talking about the name of this routine called Live at Union Square when it was about Latin Quarters in them days. KRS-One probably, him and Big Daddy Kane and Rakim mostly personified what the Latin Quarter was about.
You know, interesting. Why didn't KRS ever battle Big Daddy Kane specifically?
I don't know. I think that they probably had deep respect for each other because even though KRS-One was down with the BDP posse and Big Daddy Kane was down with the Juice Crew, they both were children of the Latin Quarters. So I think that there was like a camaraderie that was built up from being at the Latin Quarters that kind of transcended the crews that they wound up being down with.
Did anybody outside of New York ever make it big in the Latin Quarters? Do you remember any non-New Yorkers who came to the LQs that just really blew up the spot?
Only one I can remember is Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. When they came to Latin Quarters, it was all about Jazzy Jeff though. You know what I'm saying? Jazzy Jeff blew the spot wide open. And the Fresh Prince, he was tolerable. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, he was non-threatening, so nobody didn't want to battle him. Whereas if he was really viewed as like a, you know, an MC that was, I'm sure somebody would have came at him.
So none of the West Coast people, NWA, I think they was coming around just at the tail end of LQ, no? 87, 88?
Nah, there was no presence from any West Coast cats. I mean, the only one that had...
What about Ghetto Boys? Anybody from down south? Luke, none of them?
Nah, it was strictly like a new... Everybody at the Latin Quarter was like local cats, except, you know, Tupac used to come through and hang out, and he even mentioned the Latin Quarters on one of his songs.
Yeah, he never performed there.
No, Pac was too young. Jay-Z never got to perform there either. He used to come there with Jazzo. You know, but a lot of cats that wound up being international stars couldn't even get on the mic yet. You know what I'm saying? So it was real interesting, you know. Just Ice had a big presence. Schoolie D used to come to Latin Quarters, but he used to get booed off the stage every time.
I heard he really tried to win that crowd over. Could never do it. Even when he did PSK and all that?
Even when he did PSK. People love PSK, but they just couldn't fuck with Schoolie. It was just wasn't it. Wasn't it? You know what I'm saying? But you had cats that from the first time they hit the stage, they just burned it down. Like A Tribe Called Quest, the Heavy D and the Boys. You had cats like De La Soul, who was like real weird when they came out with the holding up signs and stuff. But people still could vibe with it because it was like a real dance club. If you went Latin Quarters, you had to dance in there.
What about females? Any females held it down? I mean, Queen Latifah came out of there. Or what about MC Light or anybody?
MC Light used to rock the house, and Shantae used to blow the spot up. I can't even front on Shantae. Shantae used to get on the Real Roxanne, did good a couple times at the Latin Quarters, you know what I'm saying? Sweet Tea used to blow the place up, and Jazzy Joyce, she was a regular, she DJ'd regular, and she used to do special shows, tearing up the ones and twos too.
You know, talk about the formation of X-Clan. Did you all form out of the Latin Quarters or what? How did that really come about? Or was that just a whole different thing? Because, you know, Professor X was there, you were there. Or, I mean, did X-Clan perform at Latin Quarters?
No, not at all. At the time, me and Professor X was managing King's Son and Just Ice and Positive K and doing work with Stetsasonic and stuff like that. MC Light, Milk, and Giz. But Sugar Shaft was there with me. He was a member of the Violators. He used to carry Red Alert's records to the club from 98.7 KISS.
Violators, the gang, the Violators, or the crew, the Violators? Because who are the Violators for the record?
Hey, that was more like a gang back then. They turned into a crew, but there was no real difference between a crew and a gang. It's just you and your boys. Y'all hang together, y'all build together, y'all eat together. Somebody mess with somebody, it's a thin line between friends and a gang.
Did Bambaataa and those guys, did Bam ever play at the Latin Quarters? Kool Herc? What was that like? Did they ever come through those pioneers?
Of course, Bambaataa was at the club all the time. You know, it was like a beautiful mix of everybody in hip hop used to hang there, from Busy B to Love Bug, Starsky to, you know, as a matter of fact, when I got to Latin Quarter with the Awesome 2, Mele-Mel and Busy B and them was a part of what Joey and Jacob was doing there. So it was like the old school had the Latin Quarters on certain nights, you know, and the new school, we just came in and took it over on them, you know.
Something to think about. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be back. We're going to conclude with Paradise the Architect. We've been talking about the LQ, the Latin Quarters, and as we celebrate Hip Hop History Month, we'll be back. Peace.
What's up, y'all? This is Bow-Legged Lou in the place to be right here on Breakdown FM. Just getting busy one more time.
Yes, y'all. Check out Breakdown FM. Herc, y'all. Don't get it twisted. Breakdown FM.
Put your weight on it. And a Prince Paul, bring me on, and a Ayo Botch, bring me on, and a Mad Money Murph, just bring me on, and a just bring me on, yo. This is a world premiere and I'm here. A presentation beyond compare. So MC step to the rears, I break through. Girls say ooh and then skip to my loo. That means dances I get smooth with. Poetic perfection that you can groove with. Just like a passenger, hurry and fasten your seatbelt, cause I'm about to start broadcasting the words of wisdom. So turn up the system, loud and clear. I don't want no one to miss one word to be heard. Nothing slurred or slurred or referred as absurd. Only damages occurred as I break MCs like a lumberjack. Ain't no coming back, you can't get none of that. I'm not the type of MC to be merciless. merciful. So if your name ain't Jermaine, take it personal. Cause like a vigilante, I'm gonna kill off any sucker MC that tries to withstand me. With the mic in my hand, I start flowing, then all competition flee and start going in the other direction. Run for protection, cause I can burn an MC like an erection. You're too small, kid, don't get involved with the verbal bomb for the nation of Islam. Wisdom I speak makes your head nod, Sean, I got the power, and that's for being born to God. But many doubt my knowledge of self, but they're just illiterate, so I don't consider it. Feeding off poison that's polluting their mind, and that's the reason I don't swine. I gotta maintain, accelerate my brain, and goddamn, it's hard being the king. Give it to me. Come on. Come on. Give it to me. Give it here. Give it to me. Yeah. This is the proper way man should choose ink. But you're at your brink and your rhymes are extinct. Just like a dinosaur, but you never find no more. Cause mine keep selling on wax like some kind of whore. Let me inject this flow of electric currency for all the party people preferring me. And spectating like a tourist, cause you never saw this style of rap kicking like Chuck Norris. But this ain't kung fu, no, I just brought you a style the phony MCs will be young to digest when I manifest your adolescent. So sit back, relax, be glad you had a lesson. And this one's for your listening pleasure. Something for all the biting MCs to treasure. Just like a diary for you to admire me. Before you put in the dead poet society. Cool as a draft, dropping math in a paragraph. And laugh as the rap, breaking half your whole staff. But many MCs were able to retreat, running like an athlete. But I got bad feet, so I don't chase you. Nor do I wait to face you. Nah, it ain't in my nature. I just rip, shot, flip top, and watch MCs get dropped as I manifest in hip-hop. Rhymes like a structure, tough like a Tonka truck. And just like lightning, they struck down on all the toy MCs that annoy. That's how I build and destroy. The poetic printer, rough rhyme inventor with a groove so smooth you can't help but get into. So I'm advising competition to flee, cause I can break an MC like Chef Boyardee. Holding my own on the microphone, cause I break bones just like sticks and stones. So let it rain as I put them in pain. God damn, it's hard being the king.
There you go. What else would you add about the Latin Quarters that we may have overlooked that people should really remember about this memorable nightclub?
MC Search and third base met at Latin Quarters. And MC Search used to
he used to dance there all the time.
Yeah, MC Search got popular at the Latin Quarters by dancing like James Brown on stage. And then while he used to dance like James Brown, the crowd used to be going, "Go white boy, go white boy." And MC Search would like stumble around, really not dancing very well. It was kind of a joke, but he transcended it. He did a good job performing Melissa, and he was a real likable dude, so he fit in with the crowd really well.
Are there going to be movies? I heard they were thinking about making a movie about the LQ or anything like that.
I wish. That would be a good thing. I would like to see something like that. I tell you one thing, it'd be a hell of a lot more interesting than Studio 54.
Well, there you go. You know, compare Studio 54 and Latin Quarters, just because those are two of the most legendary clubs we think about. There were three. There were three clubs in New York when you think about it. There was the Latin Quarters. There was there was the Roxy, but there was also the Garage, and there was, I mean, just in terms, Disco Fever,
the Garage, Harlem World.
You compare the Latin Quarters compared to all those clubs.
Most of them clubs was like real bougie, or they were like coke spots. The Latin Quarter was all about hip hop and dancing and the culture of hip hop and having fun. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just like a drug scene or a sex scene. It was all about, I'm on the grind. If I want to be somebody in hip hop, I gotta rock the stage at the Latin Quarters, period.
What do you think killed it? How come the Latin Quarters closed its doors finally? It never came back in any sort of reincarnation.
Thug Life killed the Latin Quarters. Thug Life killed the Union Square. When cats stopped coming to the club to have fun and dance with women, and they started coming to the club to drink champagne and stand around in a crowd of 30 dudes from the hood, that was it.
So Paradise, before we get ready to bounce out, kind of unrelated to the Latin Quarters, I do want to ask you this question, man, so we can clear the air and also give people a sense of your history. Long before X-Clan, your history goes all the way back to Disco King Mario. Explain the importance of Disco King Mario for people who don't know.
Well, Disco King Mario was one of the founding fathers of hip-hop also. Everybody knows Herc, everybody knows Bam, but most people don't know a Disco King Mario because, rest in peace, the brother passed away a few years ago. But Mario was the DJ who was running things in the Bronx Dale projects. And the first time I saw hip-hop was in the community room with Disco King Mario cutting up Got to Get a Nut. You know what I'm saying? And from that moment on, I just knew I wanted to be a DJ. It was my destiny.
You lived actually downstairs from Mario.
Yeah, I lived on the first floor with my little cousin Aaron Superman Davis, ex-welterweight champion, and Mario lived on the second floor.
The infamous Bronxdale Project, which is actually right there at the start of what people call Cozy Corner.
You know what I'm saying? That was the home of none other than the Black Spades. You know what I'm saying? And of course, Africa Bambaataa was a member of the Black Spades who went on to name the Black Spades, the organization, and then later on to the Zulu Nation.
Right, the mighty Zulu Nation and now the Universal Zulu Nation. And of course, Bam got his equipment from Mario, which a lot of people don't know back in the early days.
You know what I'm saying? Mario was the man too, and I wish the brother was alive, and I really wish people would remember his legacy because he's an important part of hip-hop also with Grandmaster Flash, also Jazzy J, and Grand Wizard Theodore.
Now, you know, one other thing, man, I'm looking at all your flyers here, the ones that you have for the Latin Quarters. Now, you have one flyer here that wasn't at the Latin Quarters, but it also talks about another important figure in hip-hop who you battled back in the day. It was the Disco 3 versus the Disco 4. Explain this battle. Throwdown. Yeah, throwdown. What saying Disco, the throwdown, yeah.
You go back.
No, I got it. But we're talking about, you know, there was a battle that you all had that's on your flyers that included an icon that a lot of people should know. It involved the Throwdown 4 versus the Throwdown 3. Talk about this battle. Who was in it and what happened?
Okay, my boys, I had a group called the Brothers 3 that was a rap group, and I was a DJ and an MC with them. But I moved to Brooklyn, and when I came back, you know, situations changed. So this group of young boys from the Hybrids Project stepped to me. My man Daysky, Little L, Rockin' Ran, and the Spanish Prince. And they came to me, they was like, yo, Paradise, won't you be our DJ? And I was like, man, your cats is kind of young, man. I don't know. But then I heard them spit, and listening to the rhyme, I was like, okay, this might work. So we started doing routines together, and we started competing. And after a while, we got real good at what we was doing. We made quite a name for ourselves in the Bronx, the Throwdown 4. And we heard about a group that was called the Throwdown 3 in a different neighborhood up by Kingsbridge section of the Bronx. So we got mad, of course, like, they can't use the name Throwdown, we the Throwdown. So we arranged a battle. Our boys from the...
Not only you arranged a battle, you have a flyer for that battle.
Oh, definitely. I got the flyer right here. My boys from the, Amin and Arik from the Universal Zulu Nation Chapter 7 helped us hook up the battle because their neighborhood was Zulu territory too. So it was all good. We were still all in the family. So we went to their neighborhood and battled them for the name in their park where they were the most popular group. And we waxed their butts and took them out on their own turf. And one of the MCs got so mad, he stopped MCing and started DJing. And now he goes by the name of Kid Capri.
So Kid Capri was an MC, and that's why he's known for MCing as he DJed, but y'all took him out.
Yeah,
we took him to go to DJing and stop rapping.
Yeah, we made him stop rapping, but I'm glad he went back to rapping a couple years later and made an album because he's my man and I enjoy him rapping too.
What does he say about that battle when you see him?
Oh, we don't even talk about it now, but one time I went up to Hot 97 and he was up there, right? And we was X-Clan, right? And I was like, what up, Capri? I was like, you remember me, right? He was like, come on, everybody know X-Clan. I was like, nah. And I started singing one of the routines that we did against them. And he was like, oh my God, you was the DJ. I was like, yeah.
What was the routine?
How did it go? We felt like giving up. We had enough of MC fighting. And the girls, they wasn't fine. Throwing jams was just a waste of time. We packed our set. We gathered all our stuff together. We started heading for the door. When this crew we never saw before, they sounded chill. They didn't really get the beat jumping, but they played an alright game. Come to find those suckers stole our name.
People forget, man, we used to harmonize back in the days, man. So that's what took Kid Capri out.
Yeah, man.
Was he going by Kid Capri then?
I think he was Capri, or, Kid Capri, he probably was.
Wow, I'm going to have to catch up with Capri and ask him about that story. See if he remembers the routine.
You know he do, because he wound up becoming a real good friend with one of the rappers from my group, Dayski, who, crazy enough, the rappers Dayski and Little L, his brother, they wound up becoming a real popular singing group in New York by the name of 4x4.
Oh, I remember them. Okay.
Yeah. So the two cats in 4x4 was MCs that used to rap for me.
There you go. I'm Drunk with Paradise. Peace.
In the heart of the city, you was born and bred. You grew up smart, you wound up dead. Things move fast, but you knew the scoop, and your savior was a rhyme and a beat and a rap group, a modern-day production of the city street. You said I didn't have it, that I couldn't compete, so the sleeper did sleep, but the sleeper should've woke up. Now you're my sight, the Buddha says you smoke up. That's the element you carry your rhymes on. That style of rhyme won't let you live long, cause the strong song to you is what I said, cause I'm a product of the environment.
There it is, black and white. There it is, black and white.
On the streets of Far Rockaway, Queens, Cedar Boulevard, Beach 17. Red-burn houses where no MC would ever go. It's where I did my very first show. Had the crowd, had the rhymes going. I never fast.
His reward was almost a bullet in his chest.
And on that stage is where I first learned. Stick out my chest to be a kid and get burned. You're so foolish, but I think you knew this. That on the microphone, punk, I can do this. And doing this is what life meant. Cause I'm a product of the environment.
There it is, black and white. Black and white.
Back in the days when kids were Mac Daddies, striped bleed jeans, Playboys and caddies, Long Beach, the MOK Center.
He almost caught a bad one when he tried to enter out way.
Bang!
Bum rush the back door, then scatter onto the dance floor.
Me and my boys, skis and the cuties, never had static, cause everybody knew me.
Local DJs tearing up the wax, and out on a corner some kid gets tagged.
After the party, crack open a 40. Picked it from the store, yo, the man never caught me.
Went up to the arcade, cranked the bass, and in a 5-0 chase us from the place.
Hop on the railroad, play the conductor everywhere I went. I always talked to market in my jacket to take it where I went, cause we were just products of the environment.
There it is, black and white. Black and white.
I wanna tell you something that gets me kinda mad. It's about my dear old dad. He's tired and worn and works a 9 to 5, clocking 30 G's a year to survive.
But I know kids who in a month or so make that money selling a yayo.
Pushing a drug, I can't understand. Destroying a life for the buck in the hand.
Played rock, slum chain, local street hero.
But if you ask search, you're just a bunch of zeros. Too bad, cause when you're older, you won't have a cent. Cause you're a product of the environment.
There it is, black and white. There it is, black and white.
You hear it in the strength of my voice and in my rhythm. Now you know how I was living. It happened to me like it happened to Search. Prime Minister Pete Nice will kick the verse in Bed-Stuy with my boy Keyway Ike. Decatur in Kingston, Wednesday night. To the Empire, show slamming, open for Dana. Crew flamming, mouth open wide, all listening. Dumb dope with a 40 in my system. Unprotected but respected for my own self. Cause of talent, no shade or nothing else. A time attention, racially fenced in. I came off,
and all the brothers blessed him.
I left more than a mark, I left a dent. Cause I'm a product of the environment.
in the twirl and the drug use and the noise will calm down.
Word, man, that's what we need. We need a Rip Productions. We need a KMD, man, to uplift the raise and bring chords in the beginning.
And our posse called Get Yours.
To all your figures who walk and bend, we're just products of the environment.
Peace.
Hopefully.
There it is, black and white.